Welcome to the Serious TV Drama Podcast with Scot and Dan. I'm Scott, and with me as almost always, the Tannhause's Mein Gott to my Doc Brown's Great Scott. It's Dan. Hey, Dan.
Hey, I'm here via Skype to talk to you about this television show, Dark. How are you?
I'm okay. I'm just literally like 2 minutes before we started recording, the heat in the room will start to pick up. So I just had like 3 beads of sweat just go down my nose.
Yeah, I was outside loading up stuff for vacation tomorrow. And of course, I showered before I did that, so I was out there just moving things around, and it's like so freaking hot and humid. The sweat just started dripping down my face. So I'm just like, oh, I'm really glad I just showered before this. Good call, Dan.
Oh, great. We're both going to look like the way young Noah seems to look in every other episode we've ever seen. I'm like,
Yes, yep. We look like young Noah, and we feel like old Adam, basically.
I was going to go to Helga, but okay, we'll go to old Adam. That makes more sense. Okay. Anyway, we are here to talk about the final episode of Dark. Not just Dark Season 3, it's the final episode of Dark, period. Which means it's our final podcast about Dark, unless something really strange happens in the future. Much like
maybe a dark Hannibal crossover, maybe. Or they leave Italy and head towards Germany, or maybe they have an Austrian storyline.
Oh God, I would not want these two shows to cross over at all. No.
They look similarly cool, but yeah, I suppose it wouldn't.
Not that Dark doesn't look good, it does. But there's something about the aesthetic of Hannibal and the cinematography and how it looks. It kind of stands out on its own a little bit more. But
yeah,
that's to be
expected.
I agree. But we didn't start talking about the final episode by reminiscing about Hannibal. I guess people are like, wait, why are we tuning into this? What? Let's get
low standards.
That's true. Well, let's get to it. The final episode of Dark, which was titled, and I didn't realize the title had the word "the" in it until like 20 minutes ago when I noticed I didn't put the title down, but I said, I think it's called Paradise. It's actually called The Paradise or The.
Yeah, it's weird because Netflix with the subtitles, it just it said Der Paradise, but then it also said just Paradise as the title, right there on the screen at the same time. So I'm not sure if it's The Paradise or Paradise, but it seems to be in German it's The, and it's just Paradise in English. I don't know.
I think what the Netflix is trying to say is Der Paradise, but anyway.
Huh.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to the actual episode. We're eating up valuable podcasting time here. So, finally, something happens that Adam did not expect. That would be Claudia appearing. As far as he's concerned, she should be dead, and he even refers to Noah killing her back in the 50s, which really seems a long, long time ago. I guess that was season 2, but it seems like it was like 18 seasons ago, the way just the last couple of episodes of this show have made me think we're forgetting there's only 24, 25 episodes of this show. I'm forgetting the exact number. That's how bad a podcaster I am. But it feels like there's been 50.
26.
26?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's probably only been 12 episodes since Noah shot Claudia. But yeah, even for me who just watched the entire series consecutively, it feels like a really long time.
Yeah. Although one could say, well, according to this scene, that was many, many, many years ago. But anyway, getting to the point. Claudia is here, and she's there to show that neither Adam nor Eve are the know-it-alls they seem to think they are. There's a whole. Well, I'll drop the first curse of the night. There's a whole shit ton of exposition here, which is always going to be expected when you're dealing with the sci-fi genre in general, especially when it comes to time travel. And I will try to cut to the chase on a lot of this, but, forgive me if I end up getting lost in it myself here. But she makes it clear that there is, in fact, a third world. This third world is, in fact, the origin world. And it was on that world that Tannhaus was building that time machine in order to bring his loved ones back. And that's when things went awry, and with that, the two worlds were created. Now, oh, I can't. I love how I go back and add really smart ass things to my notes sometimes. I know this is one of those instances. I'll just read it almost verbatim. I don't want to knock the writing, but I do question the redundancy of telling us this entire explanation more than once in this episode, because we're going to hear it again in a couple different forms later on, at least two more times. I don't know if that's really necessary, but maybe they just feel they need to hammer it home. There's a couple instances on the show where they show characters telling them stuff that they don't necessarily need to. They could be a little bit more conservative with their screen time. They were good with the stuff in a previous episode with Martha and Bartos, where we didn't see most of what she told him. We just understood she's going to tell him everything. They kind of forgot. Sometimes I think, unless there's a key reason to see like a reaction, sometimes we don't get that. We don't need to sit through it again. Let's. You do a really great time with not wasting time on this show. I always thought it's only maybe amounts up to like 90 to 120 seconds, but they don't need to do that as much as they did in this episode. I thought just a little. It's a very minor criticism, but I like to keep it 100 on this podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, just saying. Anyway, sticking with that earlier scene, according to Claudia, the one way to finally, pick your euphemism, since they trot them all out in the show, untie the knot or destroy the knot or change everything, stop everything, whatever. The one way to do it is to stop, to prevent that creation of the way and means to travel through time and space, the thing that started on that origin world. Now, if it wasn't for the fact that this was going to be the final episode, and that would probably be why your brain might think of it and then dismiss it immediately thereafter, did you think when we were hearing about this quote-unquote third world that we were going to start getting multiple versions of everyone that we've seen already?
Yeah, no, I thought maybe we'd see a little something, but there just wasn't enough time. So yeah, right. I wasn't really thinking. Yeah.
Although, admittedly, by the time we get to the final act and the ending, we certainly do get, some more versions of people. So they didn't disappoint in that sense. I'm glad they didn't feel the need to do that, because it's one episode to go. I'm watching the clock. It's it's a show about time. You don't got time for that. But
right.
Although I was hoping oh, come on.
Yeah, they did it pretty economically when they introduced the second world, but it didn't take a super long amount of time to see what everybody was up to in a little different way. But I'm glad they didn't waste time on it here. Just because when push comes to shove, there really wasn't what it was all about. It was just this is more of the Tan House story and what Jonas and Martha had to do to do their thing. So it really wasn't necessary to see Helgi's knee was messed up in this world or something. I don't fucking know.
Oh yeah, I'm already was thinking that in that final scene when we see certain people around that table, and I love the fact that one of them is actually Waller. Oh, it's both Wallers actually. But I did think to myself, please let him be missing a leg under that table. Because he's got his eyes and he's got his ears. I like that they even threw in the joke of, "Oh, you're gonna tell us what happened to your eye?" Because he got a bruise or something like that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, look at the Germans making with the jokes. They're so funny.
Yeah, that's pretty funny that there was a fair amount of sadness in the episode, but then at the end they still had time to just tease us about Waller's eye.
Yes, I do appreciate that.
Did you think he was going to get it out, or did you think something was going to stop him again?
What is? Oh, about the eye? No, I didn't. I knew we were. I didn't think we were getting a story.
Yeah.
I didn't. And quite frankly, it wouldn't have been the story anyway, since he's got his eye. So either way, it would have been a cheat.
Yeah.
So back to this. Back to the Claudia Adam scene. So much of this episode is built on all the stuff with Claudia and Adam in the beginning of the episode. And we find out that he's been trying to destroy the origin, that this whole thing with him, I guess, basically killing Martha yet again, this has happened an infinite number of times. But their interaction right now, this is all new. Finally, something new is happening. And I guess it goes to what we were talking about in the previous podcast, where up until this point, with maybe one or two exceptions, and we might We're going to get to one of them actually right now, actually. Beyond this, everything we've seen has happened before. It's over and over and over again. And I did have, I'm going to be a little snarky. I'm just going to say it now because it's not even in my notes, but I got to say this. There was a big part of me that was going, I paused it and I'm like, wait a minute. How, Claudia, actually, did I write this in my notes? I should skip down. Oh, maybe I wrote it somewhere down. Oh, it's all the way down here. I'm going to skip to it now. I don't care. Look, I admire Claudia's character and everything she's been doing, in this series, especially this season, whatever. But, she's not Albert Einstein or Stephen Hawking or something like that. It looks to me, as we see in this, we're about to see, like, she just basically has an epiphany over her daughter's grave about this third world. And that's it. That's what leads her to all these conclusions and everything else. That's a whole lot.
Yeah, I don't know. I just got the impression that like she figured out what was going on before that point, and she goes to her daughter's grave, and like that was the last time she was going to do that. So she just went there, and then that was a moment where like she's like, okay, goodbye, Regina. I'm never gonna weren't gonna go through this again. This is where I make my move. I didn't really take it as a she just figured it out.
Well,
it was just
I guess even if it wasn't an epiphany in that moment, I'm questioning her. I guess I'm questioning her figuring out there being a third world without anything really to go on. That's my problem. I don't mind. I don't. Let me be clear. It doesn't bother me because it's gonna have to be an explanation like that anyway. It's just the nature. It's the nature of the genre. It's one of those things where there's that little, the little critic that lives in me at all times, it's like the little boy in my mouth kind of Tony kind of a thing. It's going like, really? She's the one to figure this out? How does she figure that out? What does she have to prove that? Where's behind that theory? It's a theory. She speculates that I get, but she seems like she's positive of it, and I don't see how she can know certain things. How does she know that Tannhaus did that on that origin? How does she know that? And I'm not trying to pry apart the whole episode and unravel it, like the knot. But it's one of those things I kept thinking about, and I was like, I'm going along with it because I love everything that's happening. But if I take a step back, I'm like, how does she know that?
I don't know, maybe she traveled to the third world.
But it seems like the only way to travel to the third world was what we see earlier, with getting through, going through the. Oh, you think she did it before they did?
Yeah, maybe she did it, and just like that's how she knows.
But I'm just thinking. No. I'm thinking about it. Could she have gone there at that same certain point, just to have that experience and then discover that? You know what? There's no reason she couldn't have, because if she didn't stop it, then I guess she would still have the means to get back. I don't know. I guess so. I'm trying to play scientist here as well. In the fact, it's a theory. I'm not trying to disprove it. I'm just I'm actually trying to prove it, trying to figure out how she would know it. We only have one episode. It's one of the problems. Like, we only got one episode left, and there's not enough time to. I mean, there's so many building blocks they've had to put in place throughout this whole series. And now it's like you're kind of forcing a lot of this exposition in this scene. That's always a problem when you got to do a lot of explaining. Towards the final moments of anything. It doesn't matter how good you are. It doesn't matter if you're one of Hitchcock's greatest movies. His greatest movies has one of its greatest flaws: 10 minutes of exposition at the end of it. Psycho. And Psycho is one of my all-time favorite movies, but that's a massive flaw in the movie.
Yep.
So, and to go along with this, and I'm hoping that you can explain this to me, or because I'm obviously not that bright sometimes, about her daughter's grave. It's also established here, if I understood what I was watching, that Claudia was the one who instructed Tronte to kill Regina.
And that Tronte isn't her father.
And that Tronte isn't. Right. I don't even care about the Tronte being her father or not, because we're up to the final episode. I don't care at this point.
Yeah.
but I was trying to understand the logic of Regina dying. Now,
Uh,
is it that
Funky.
is it the fact that Regina always has to die?
Yeah, like if Regina doesn't die, then Claudia's just gonna spend time like, hanging out with her instead of like doing the research she has to do to like get to the point she needs to be to be like smart enough and like having the right technology to do stuff. So that was just like, part of Claudia's path. Like, you know,
Okay, okay. No, no. I was trying to figure it out because there was part of me thinking, okay, it can't be about that she doesn't have enough pain and suffering in her life because her life has been pretty horrible already. Claudia, I mean, with killing her dad and everything else.
yeah.
And Regina's like, Regina's got cancer. She's not recovering. She's probably, I don't know how long for this world she's going to be anyway. It's not like she's getting any kind of treatment in the post-apocalyptic wind in there. But, okay, at least what you said that, I can rationalize it then. Okay, okay. It's because we need her to, like, yeah, okay, I got it. That makes sense. That works for me. I'll go along with it. Although it seems pretty horrible that she's sanctioning the murder of her own daughter.
Right.
But
But
it's
but she
she's.
already killed her father, so I guess gotta burn the candle at both ends if you.
Lovely, that's great. Okay, all right. I like that I'm writing things in my notes that now I'm reading I can't make any sense of them. So I wrote a lot about me bitching about this whole Regina thing. So I'm just gonna, I'm realizing I ranted in my notes. My notes are filled with, but there's no way for us to know that or not. No, that can't be it. No. Then I wrote that, it's her belief that Regina lives in the origin world, but always dies in these other two universes. And that's when I wrote, I don't want to question the foundation, what the show is built on, but how can she possibly know that? But if she went to the third world, and it's funny referring to it as a third world, actually, now that I think about it. If she went to the
Huh,
origin world,
yeah.
maybe that's
That'd
where
be
she saw Regina was fine. And
yeah.
and that would be how oh, that could work. That works.
And it just kind of makes sense because in 2020 Germany is the first world, and maybe that she went to America, that's the third world in 2020, right?
That was very well done. That was very well done. Oh, by the way, just to finish up my making fun of my own notes, I just know I'm like because I'm doing all these like little bullet point paragraphs here, and at the very end I just wrote. Doesn't matter if they turn out to be true or not. I'm just having a hard time believing. You know what? It's sci-fi. Shut up, Scott. so,
Yeah.
so if anyone listening
And
is
I think
probably thinking that, yeah, don't worry, my notes said it for you.
yeah.
Oh, I thought you were about to say something. That's why I was about to take a drink.
Yeah. No, it's fine. I'm just listening to you talk to yourself about things you were telling yourself.
Oh,
Very cool.
welcome to me living in my apartment.
Yeah. I bet your cat's just like, seriously, again? He's doing this again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much. I mean, people think it's cute when they come in my house and they see the cat with his paw over his face. Like, no, he does that all the time. Sh- shame, shame, shame. You know. Anyway, oh, one thing that was kind of, I hesitate to use the word fun, but let's get back to the episode. And
Yeah.
a lot of this stuff is happening while we're still hearing Claudia talking and talking and talking, exposition, exposition, exposition. But now we're kind of hiding exposition by showing us something, and what we're being shown is a tale of two Ulrichs. The Ulrich adventure that we had already, or I don't know if adventure is the right way to put it, but the Ulrich Odyssey that we had already seen on, again, I call it Earth One, where he goes back to the 1950s, finds young Helge and eventually, tries to bash his head in with the rock. Well, he doesn't try. He does bash his head in with the rock. He tries to kill him. He just doesn't. But they showed what happened. We were wondering what's going to happen with the other Ulrich. And I love the spin on it that he
Yeah.
he he doesn't go back to the 50s. He goes back to the 80s, and it's the older Helgi who doesn't have any deformities as of yet, and we're like, oh, this is where he's going to lose the eye.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I never considered that as an option, but it makes perfect sense. And the way they executed it was really sweet.
So
But
then they show.
but
No,
just
go
yeah,
on.
no, just like it's just interesting. And plus, there's like the fact that like when it was his own kid that was gone, like he had to like go after just beat the fuck out of another kid. But when it was his brother, he didn't like quite have to go to that level where he just beat the fuck out of an adult instead.
Right, right, right. But then, so
Ha!
then he drags Helge's body. Okay, he ends up dragging him into that room. That's the room that we've seen that Noah was experimenting on the kids in, where they were being held, actually. So it's set
Yeah,
up like a
yeah,
kids room. That's
it's
in
at
the
the
bunker,
bunker.
right? By the way, and I guess, okay, I know I'm just forgetting things because I didn't rewatch season one again this time around. I rewatched it like a year ago, but I didn't watch it recently. So I am embarrassed to admit that it took me a minute or two to realize, oh yeah, that room was in the bunker. Obviously, it was
Yeah,
in the bunker. 'Cause where else would it be? Because it didn't make any sense. And plus, it transposes to the other parts in time, whatever. But I actually had forgotten that. Okay, but getting to the whoa moment.
yeah. The fact that the wallpaper is yellow in this world instead of blue like the original, that was quite the shocker. It is
God,
pretty cool that they do stuff like that, though. Like I like to see the little changes, like in the alternate universe, the radiation suits at the nuclear plant are red, and in the original one they're yellow. I just like the little changes and that
yes,
kind of stuff. I mean,
that
they're not necessary. It's just kind of just like just a little attention to detail, I suppose.
that's actually one I actually noticed. One of
Yeah.
the- but but here suddenly
Huh.
old Helgi shows up and kills Ulrich with a hammer.
Yeah.
I mean, he kills him. he, I'm pretty sure he's dead. He looked pretty
Yeah.
dead to
That.
me.
Yeah. He definitely he massacred him. That was pretty cool. I didn't see that coming at all.
I did not see it coming, and my only thought I had, one of the only thoughts I had at that moment was, okay, we haven't seen it, and I guess we never will see it. But for me, it kind of implied that, you know, old Ulrich on Earth One probably dies at some point soon in the booby hatch where he is, because everything has to be balanced. So if Ulrich is dying in this universe, he's got to die in that one too. I mean, that's kind of the rules that have been setting out here.
Yeah. Even though like there are some differences because like in the original reality Ulrich went to the 50s, old Helgi went to the 80s, and then old Helgi died trying to stop young Helgi from like doing whatever he did in the 80s.
Hmm.
So and then in this reality like that old Helgi I guess theoretically survives, and Ulrich dies.
Well, does that mean so are the scales balanced by those two things kind of being switched? Maybe that's
Yeah,
how
maybe
it
that's
works.
yeah, maybe that's what I was thinking.
Okay,
Yeah.
I did write it because then my confusion was Claudia. Then Claudia shows up, and I was like, wait, Claudia shows up here, and then I was like, but what? What? Why? My note was, is she trying to make sure balance is being maintained? And maybe that kind of goes to what we were just talking about. I I, I don't really know. Okay, so we see that, then we end up back with Adam and Claudia, and blah blah blah. The point is there is a loophole. There's a loophole in the bit in what we were talking about as the whatever happened happened, whatever didn't happen thing. Things can be changed. Claudia points out that Eve had found a loophole, and that's how she's been using, the time traveler version of Martha, which, I guess like grabbing Jonas or something, that episode. So that kind of makes a certain amount of sense as far as how we've seen that character used. Although Eve does also seem to believe about everything has to happen, and things are inevitable. Blah blah blah. But it means there is a way to change things, and now Claudia is actually going to have Adam work on her behalf. This is something I didn't see coming.
Yeah.
I mean, Adam working at anyone's behest seems just out of nowhere. I love I loved
Yeah.
it, I just didn't
Yeah.
expect it
Oh, yeah.
because
And
he's the puppeteer. He's not usually so him following someone else's instructions is very strange.
yeah, and I was kind of, to jump ahead a little bit, I wasn't sure if he was going to change, actually, like, I mean, he was clearly shocked by what was going on, but like if he was going to have a change of heart. But I do kind of like how they did the like he actually had a change of heart. It wasn't just like it looked like it, then like he's still like a cackling madman at the end, like a
Hmm.
lot of shows would do. So I enjoyed the fact just like he actually like followed through with it.
Yes,
Yeah.
it
I
go
wonder
on.
if like the way this is all working out is because I mean like everybody's going through the same thing like over and over and over again. But like of these three, Adam or Jonas, Martha, and Claudia, they're all the ones that are kind of working on it. I wonder if like maybe Claudia's just like since her mission has always been kind of just to like kind of figure out what's going on more so as and while the other two are kind of like they have their mission of just like the other two have kind of more of a tunnel vision thing where they're just more like fucking with each other and like trying to like break everything or like keep it happening over and over again. So I wonder if like Claudia just kind of like maybe like each time the loop whatever maybe she's able to like learn stuff a little bit quicker, kind of like the Star Trek Next Generation episode where like Fraser's ship keeps crashing into the Enterprise and it keeps blowing up and like each time they go through the thing they manage to like retain a little bit more. I wonder if because like Claudia isn't so focused on this like fucking with her romantic partner like the other two, maybe that's like why she's able to also have like she's able to garner knowledge while the other ones aren't.
Um, I would agree with that. I would say that's something that I've seen a number of times done on
Yeah,
television series that have a time
yeah,
travel looping aspect to them.
yeah,
It happened.
yeah.
It happened very specifically last season on the show DC Legends of Tomorrow. One character they
Nice.
were in an endless loop that kept everything, and the ship kept being destroyed. And one character was aware of it. No one else was. One character was aware of it, and so she
I
kept
think I
picking up.
saw that episode.
They've
That sounds
also
familiar.
they've also
Yeah, X Files.
yeah
Every show.
they've done
Yeah,
that. Yeah, it's one of those fun. It's almost like a given. You have to do that on a time travel show. I think they even did something.
yeah,
I believe they did something along those lines on the Flash. Also, quite frankly, which is I mean
yeah,
this isn't knocking any of them. I actually I look forward to those episodes 'cause they're usually really fun. They're usually
yeah.
there's that ground. It's usually what we call like the Groundhog Day kind of phenomenon because we're seeing things repeat over
Right.
and over. But there's always that one person who's aware of it. The show Russian Doll is entirely built on that premise. The entire show is built on that. I always forget to talk about that show whenever we're talking about things that involve time or time travel because it's sort of time travel adjacent. It's a good show. Anyway, let's get back to this show.
Yeah.
Um, so where? Oh, that's the thing where Adam. Oh, so I love the idea now that Adam essentially replaces the time traveling Martha, and he's the
Yeah.
one who shows up and takes
Huh.
Jonas to the other world.
Yeah.
He even replicates some of the same dialogue that Martha had. Although
Right.
although how funny is it? I kind of wish they had started the scene with him already there. I mean, from before, because
Yeah.
literally he's there, he kills Martha, he says whatever, and then he walks out, and then probably like a minute later he walks back in, and Jonas is. I felt like Jonas should have had a bit more of a reaction to it. I mean, he does react to him, but he should have like
Yeah.
tried to strangle him or something. Because everybody tries to choke a Jonas at one point, because
Yeah.
he just killed her. Um, but I did enjoy that a lot, and that's he takes him back to counting the Earths now. He takes him back to Earth 2, what I've been calling Earth 2, and a way that all this never needs to happen. The problem is that Jonas has to trust the one guy he probably never should have trusted in the first place. The,
For,
you
yeah.
know,
But fortunately, Jonas has been proven to be dumb enough to trust pretty much anybody. Of course, I guess
yes.
Noah does that. Martha does that. They all trust like somebody could just like punch one of them in the face, and then 10 seconds later, we're like, well, I did that for a reason. You're gonna have to trust me. And they'll be like, okay, let's do this.
Oh yeah, they've got they've got the they got short-term memory issues like my cat. So like I can like smack my cat, and then like 5 seconds later, I mean lightly smack him. Don't call the ASPCA on me, people. But then the cat will sidle next to me and start purring because he's plotting my murder probably. So they are on Earth too now. And so Adam, he explains how he was wrong about everything, and that this is actually all going to be up to Jonas and Martha, although he's actually Jonas too. But anyway, but he has to save her from the apocalypse, which is just minutes away. Then they can go to the origin world and change everything, save everybody, and so on. Although part of me was thinking, well, would you be saving everybody, or would you be causing everybody to blink out of existence? Because if you stop everything, don't Earths 1 and 2 just no longer exist? It's the origin world only.
Yeah.
Well, it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
So, I love that I'm coming up with things. I'm like while I'm on the podcast, and then I see, that was in my notes like a minute later. I am literally not following my own notes or script or whatever. I really should. So, then they kind of shoehorn in the middle of some of this. We see the two Claudias, and is that so? We get the older Claudia with and she's growing her hair long, and then we get that the old lady actress who's seen playing Claudia, like in the beginning of this one,
right?
The "Tell Papa I'm sorry" line kind of did make me sad.
Yeah,
that kind of got me a little bit.
Right, yeah. And I suppose she's done that. Of course, at some point she goes back and tells him that she's sorry. In the to clueless Egon in the 50s. That's a good scene.
That's right. Oh, good Lord, that's oh my God, that's right. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I didn't put those two things together. See, I got to stop talking. Got to give you more time to come up with these brilliant observations, man.
It's all good.
Because I'm going to say something like, you know what? My only problem at this point in the episode, I was thinking, wait, are you telling me that, multiple universes and like, 1,000 different realities and Earths and whatever, is everything hinging on the fact that Claudia just wants to save her daughter? The one that she had kind of abandoned in the first place? Okay. Again, it's, I get it, because the show is so much about bad parenting. This is all about her trying to make up for that.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yep, of course. Yeah, of course, I guess technically she doesn't really save her daughter, because Regina would always be alive in the original reality. She's just like stopping her from getting killed in alternate realities, I guess.
She's trying to stop the multiple deaths. She's like, no, just one, just end it there.
Yeah, even though it does kind of work, on a cool level, just because like Tannhaus's mission was to save his son, and then the agent, the man that like in the new universes that manages to like execute that is just trying to save her daughter. So I guess it's kind of sweet.
It's okay. It's primal. I don't. It wasn't one of the things I was putting in the cons of the episode or the overall series, whatever. So back on Earth 2, it's Martha and Bartos. It's that moment where they're biking to the nuclear plant, and we know that Jonas has to beat Magnus and Franziska from cutting them off. Has to cut them off before they take Martha along with them, and it looks like he might. It would have been kind of funny if he didn't get there in time, because I was thinking, oh my God, wouldn't that, everything's kind of predicated on this.
Or if he just tripped and fell down and just blinked away on his own.
Oh yeah, it's great when movies and films are like, oh look, they tripped. Everyone always falls when they're running from a killer. But he actually starts up that little time machine gizmo in his pocket. And then he jumps at it, and it's like a night crawler kind of bamf kind of thing.
Yeah, pretty cool.
That was the first thing I thought of, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was a good scene. I enjoyed it. It was neat.
And so then they reappear on the road, and there was just a moment where I had to just remember it's a time device he's using. It was just a different point in time. So they haven't changed worlds as of yet. I like this moment a lot. It was that realization of how these two know each other but don't know each other.
Yeah.
It's, and especially when you start comparing all the other interactions, the different versions of Jonas and Martha have had with each other. So there's something, there's something a little bit sad about this,
Yeah.
but also kind of cool at the same time, you know. Um, Even though I know it said much later that there was part of me that initially had a big ranty, silly reaction to something, and then I actually thought about it while I was watching it, and I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm going to skip ahead just for a minute, just for the hell of it. It's later on when they're in when they're waiting for like the passage to open. I think it's during that moment when Jonas asks about how the previous Jonas she met was how he was different, right? He said something like that.
Yeah.
How different. There was my initial reaction until I gave it some thought, and I was, oh no, it's totally valid. Was, dude, the other version she met of you was like a minute different than you. It was you taken from the same point in time and brought to that world and brought to see her. Then I realized, well, that's not fair, Scott. She had a lot of interaction. She spent some time with him and was running all around and doing all that stuff, and eventually and had sex with him. So maybe it's not fair to say that.
Yeah.
Okay. So I was just like, okay, I'm gonna delete all the stuff I just said into my phone.
Yeah. Yeah, plus, and then just Jonas's his reaction, he's so screwed up seeing her because like for him, like it's been like, 2 minutes since Adam fucking murdered her. So it's it's gotta be, you can tell how tough it is on him. I mean, it's tough on both of them because it hasn't been that long since they both watch each other get killed from each other, but of course it isn't each other, so it's complicated.
That's true. That's right. That's absolutely correct. I kind of forgot. I mean, I remember, obviously it was lodged in my head that he just saw his Martha killed. I had forgotten, like, oh wait, it wasn't, she just saw him get killed within the last, whatever, X number of hours. So,
Yeah.
Lord. Okay. So important thing in the episode is that it's June 21st, 1986. And now we get to their actual mission, that they need to stop Tannhaus before he opens the passage for the first time and thus creates their worlds. Of course, they need to get to that world first. But before we can do that, we skip over to, well, basically older versions of them. We see Adam at Eve's place. Hey, and then he gets to stare at a totally different painting now. but that's only for a moment because then he decides to set it on fire. Then he walks around. He ends up where the dark matter globule thing is. I'm kind of amazed there isn't even one Martha standing guard anywhere around here. I guess they're all on their own little missions at this point. And so they're kind of intercut back and forth between Jonas and Martha and Adam and eventually Eve here. And I kind of like that because, like I just said, it's just different versions of themselves. It's almost like the originals and the final versions, so to speak. But he's trying to explain to Martha what their mission is. And I just like the fact he does say at one point, it's difficult to explain. I was like, yeah, everything about the ship is difficult to explain. But you know what you need to do, Jonas? You need to use the glitch analogy one more time.
Yeah, every time they say that now, I'm just like, I imagine you wincing. I'm like, oh yeah, good stuff.
Well, it annoyed me because I was like, no, we are the glitch. And it's like, oh, you think that whole glitch in the Matrix thing was really so cool the whole time and you built it up to this? It's not.
Well,
the drop in the ocean thing, that's pretty cool. Glitch in the Matrix, no. Not cool.
That's just something that she told him really early on, so,
Well, exactly. She's not she's not exactly Dorothy Sayers, or I can't think of the writer's name right now. There is a writer named Dorothy Sayers, but that's not the one I meant. What's with the Algonquin table? Anyway, all right. In this moment, it's right when he says the glitch thing. And she should have said, "Wait, did the other version of me come up with that one? Because that's stupid." Anyway, No, she actually takes a moment to ponder their existence or the likelihood of not existing or something. Actually, everything right now is a question of existence at this point. But then she kind of looks up and she's got a little bit of a determination, a light in her eyes, if you will. And then she marches on with Jonas into the caverns. Now we switch back and it's Eve and Adam. And oh my God, this dude, I can't believe how cool I thought this scene was. I never seeing these characters. I'm thinking about my feelings about Adam or Eve throughout this series. I never thought I'd see a scene with them and go, "Wow, that was really cool." But this I thought was and touching even.
Yeah,
They pulled it off.
yeah. It's just
The
kind of nice, after all these years of just fucking with each other, just like I'm so done with this. Like, this isn't worth it. I kind of like you at some point.
I love the fact that it's the reveal that he was always meant. I guess this is again one of those repeating events. That's why she knew it was him there. He was always meant to go to the future and kill her. But the click, click, click. That was and the
Yeah,
bullets.
yeah. That's so super cool.
That was so great. I was like, oh my God, Adam is actually changing something.
Yeah, him having the bullets in his hand is so much cooler than like the gun just not working.
Right, because then it would have been. We've seen the gun not work before in other instances, which only told us, oh, this isn't meant to happen. It's fate stepping in or whatever the universe stepping in. This was him stepping in
Yeah,
with the bullets. That was great. I really love that.
yeah.
And,
Really good way of showing that effectively. Just like
yeah, I was very pleased with that. I mean, he does then go into his thing about life is a labyrinth. Oh, look at that, the whole labyrinth thing again. And I like him saying we've been experienced like this. It's been a never ending deja vu. It's like yep. That's you. Dark could have been renamed Deja Vu, and they could have totally gotten away with it if they want. The French version will be Deja Vu. How much worse can a French version be? So let's get to
the
Tan.
the incest would probably be escalated a little bit.
Oh man, you know how they do porn parodies of stuff, right?
Yeah.
The sad thing is they don't really have to change much with Dark in order to do the porn parody. You just
No.
have to have the actual sex, and that's it.
Huh.
So Tannhaus, he couldn't get over the pain of losing his son, his daughter-in-law, and his grandchild when they were forced off the bridge into the river. And I think we thought at one point we were going to get to see that accident actually happen, and maybe who was actually behind it or something. But since we're dealing with the origin world, we weren't going to get that. But we know that the passage isn't open yet, but it's imminent. And Tannhaus wanted to travel back to the world in which his family was still alive. Instead, his own world was split, he creates the two worlds, the not metaphor, Martha, Jonah, everything gets created about that. So, by the way, I have a question.
Yeah.
Unless there's another bloodline issue that I'm not aware of, on the origin world, not including the cute thing at the very end, haha, which I'm pretty sure most of us saw coming.
Yeah.
I understand there's no Jonas on that world, because we know how Jonas came to be with the Mickle thing, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
But there's no but there would be a Martha on the origin world, wouldn't there?
No, because without all their time travel fuckery, there can't be a Trante, because you need to have like Agnes being born from Bartaz being in the past. So since there's no Bartaz getting sent back to the past to get Celia pregnant, you can't have an Agnes, which means you can't have a Tronte, which means you can't have an Ulrich, which means you can't have a Martha.
Oh, so that's why we only see Katerina at that table, but we don't see.
Yeah.
So therefore,
They're all gone. Yeah.
There's
Mikkel's
no
gone.
there's no Magnus.
Nope. Mikkel's gone. They're yeah. I mean, so some of them would still be alive. Like Enos would be alive. Like Tronte's wife would be alive. But like all the Nielsen's are gone because they're tied to like they're tied to Bartaz, I guess.
Oh,
So
that's
without,
right. That's
yeah,
interesting. Okay, okay,
yeah,
no, no, okay.
yeah, yeah,
Got it. That works. Okay. What about Alexander? Anyway.
yeah. So the deal with Alexander then, so since there doesn't, so he wouldn't have an interaction with Regina because he meets Regina when like Ulrich is fucking like bullying her, and he just shows up and he's just like, he just
Oh my
shows up
God,
like
that's
defends
right.
their honor. So like then like poof, no Bartas. So yeah, it's
Yes.
yeah, it's
No, that's great. Oh, I asked the question, you answered it. You win the MVP of the podcast. I should let you do the rest of the podcast. I should shut up now. Then take it away. No. If you want, that way people can stop telling me you don't like Dan. Um,
don't worry, people. I say everything I want to say. It's fine. And sometimes I say things I shouldn't say, and that's also fine.
I think only like two people have ever said that to me anyway. But anyway, wait, three. All right, three. So okay, well, you know what? That's why I asked it as a question. I had a feeling you would answer it. I'm glad you did. So they're awaiting that bridge, which is going to connect all three worlds. And wait a minute, why am I writing this note? I don't want to be a dick during a really meaningful emotional moment, but
Yeah. Well,
I'm reading my. I'm sorry. I'm caught up in my note. I'm wondering. It says my note says I'm about to be a dick about something. Oh, this is the rant. Oh, this is about Jonas asking Martha about the other Jonas. Okay, skip this. Tannhaus presses those two big red buttons. I like to think the two red buttons represent the two new worlds he's about to create.
right.
Then the big machine revs up. The sparkly streams drift throughout the caverns. The passage opens. And then we get a nice, lovely, mildly trippy little scene with Jonas and Martha. I guess you could say that they're on the bridge. Unfortunately, it's not like the Rainbow Bridge to Asgard, but it's definitely has a cosmic quality to it, regardless. And they've been separated. And I really enjoyed how they did this. The part with Jonas where he looks down the passage into I guess presumably it's a view into the one of the Earths. When he sees it's a young Martha, and she's
Yeah.
looking towards the back of her closet, and with Katerina.
Yeah.
Oh, that's Earth. Oh, it's Earth 2. Right.
That has to be Earth 2 because the other one has
Right.
to be Earth 1
The
because
Earth 1, right.
because there's no adult Mikkel in Earth 2.
Exactly. Once again, I don't know why I keep notes if I'm not going to read them while I'm doing a podcast, because I have that all written here. I also like the fact that's the back of a closet. My first thought was like, because this show, like all really great, huge sci-fi shows, likes to do their little nods to different things. We've noted them. I'm sure there's a lot we haven't even bothered mentioning, where that's a little reference to this or that. Something like in the back of a closet. My first thought's going to be Chronicles of Narnia, because it's always the back of a closet, which was a view into another world. So I kind of got a kick out of that. And yes, at the same time we see Martha, and it's with and she sees down the passage into Earth 1, where it's a young Jonas looking down into the basement, apparently, and we see Mikkel with him. And we're kind of waiting to see, okay, now we've seen the passages into Earth 1 and Earth 2. Where's Earth 3? And then you see there's one more doorway.
Yeah.
And then you hear a fire engine go by.
Yeah, I wonder what that noise was. That was just like somebody going like, or like a coyote howling.
It's New York. It's New York, baby. So we're on the Origin Earth and Origin World rather, and we're back at Doc Brown's shop. I mean, sorry, Tannhaus's shop. I'm sorry, all the clocks. The first thing you're gonna think of is Doc Brown's thing. And that's when we get to see him, and we get to see his son Marek, his daughter-in-law Sonia, and the child when we don't hear her name just yet, but we do eventually hear the child's name is Charlotte, although That's a different. That's not the Charlotte. It's a Charlotte, right? Can't be the same. Well, it clearly can't be the same Charlotte.
I
'Cause-
yeah, I guess. I don't know. It's complicated, so I'm not sure. 'Cause
yeah.
yeah, so like in this reality, do they just die in an accident? And then in like one of the other realities, like like the three like people that are Jonas's, Martha's like wormhole baby, like run them off the road or something, and they die there just to like keep things rolling. Is that what's going on here? You
Well, they
know?
never. Did they? I
Yeah.
don't I mean they never seem to establish a mission to make sure that Tannhaus's family dies. Although it seems to be that has to happen.
Yeah, and then like somebody like plucks the baby like out of there, but like because like the baby didn't die, right? Just like the baby's just gone, or maybe the baby.
They couldn't find the baby, right?
Yeah, yeah. So
But that's not the child that but he ends up with a different. He ends up with Elizabeth's child.
yeah, he ends up with Elizabeth's child, but like I wonder if like there's a way where like that could actually be Charlotte. I don't know. It's too complicated.
Mm,
Yeah.
all right, all right.
Uh.
It's hurting my head.
Yeah.
And that's and
Yeah. I guess not. If that has to be like. Yeah. If that's Noah and whatever baby, it can't be like Charlotte. Charlotte. It's just like
right.
new character Charlotte baby.
Yeah, this is sweet Charlotte. Anyway.
Disco baby. Yeah.
Hush, hush. Anyway, so also in the scene, we not once but twice we get the drop in the ocean kind of quote reference thing, which I don't mind because I kind of like that one, even though I feel like now I've heard it like 4 or 5 times on the series, but I like it better than the glitch in the Matrix, so I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
Um,
I like how Merrick's like just super pissed off, but he's like, but you can tell he's like heard all this like stuff, whatever. So like he's knowledgeable about like quantum mechanics, and he's just like throwing it into conversations. Like, Dad, you won't stop talking about like fucking Einstein rules and bridges and like wormholes and shit. So he's like super mad, but he's like doing it like, but he's also like he knows about the nerdy shit, and he's just throwing it into this really angry conversation. I thought that was kind of awesome.
he's no Bartos. He's not into it.
No. Yeah.
I'm about to say, well, you have to have the one son who's not geeky. Come on.
Yeah.
But of course he has to be a rebel, so he has to go against what his dad's a geek, so he has to be anti-geek. Of course, that's why he looks like a rocker with the hair and everything. So yeah, they go driving off to get away from Dad, but that's where Jonas and Martha appear. Poof. On the highway, the car screeches around, stops. They have that whole interaction. We get the drop in the ocean thing, which is what clues them in that there's something going on here. And apparently, when they show up back at the shop, I think there's one of them. I think the daughter-in-law says he thinks he saw two angels that stopped them from taking the bridge that was down and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Of course, the evil part of me thinking, watch they just die tomorrow instead. But whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe they actually the bridge accident they were in was because like a Martian with 4 arms or 3 was from the Twilight Zone episode like to damage the bridge and just like that's what happened.
I know the episode you're referencing.
Yeah. Well, you better. Everybody knows that one.
Yeah.
Except dummies with no taste. They don't know that one.
Well, hopefully they're not listening to our podcast anymore.
No, trust me, they're not. They're not smart enough to listen to this podcast, I'm sure.
Okay. People just.
If you haven't watched the Twilight Zone yet, fuck you. And to give us a 5-star review, thank you. We appreciate it.
Sometimes I think we should change the initials from STVD to SMH. it's the Shaking My Head podcast. Because I find myself doing that every other time we record. All right. So, okay, let's see if I can get the sucker back on track. We were doing so good with these dark podcasts, man. I'm totally phoning it in on this one. I apologize, people.
I don't think it's bad. Things are going okay.
Okay, maybe it's just me. I just feel like I'm kind of losing my mind
Watch
here
out.
a little bit. So, to get to the crux of what's going on here, yes, Jonas and Martha successfully stop the accident from happening, and as I said, that they return. By the way, I actually I was surprised but I was actually moved by the scenes with Tannhaus and his family at the end there.
Yeah.
So, well done, Dark. I guess I'll just one time when I thought I should have been moved, I wasn't on the show, but you got me all the other times, so
Yeah,
I forgive
yeah,
you.
they were pretty touching, and it wasn't like over the top and like super dramatic, but like for German stuff, like I'm sure like everybody, like the people watching in Germany were like, crying because it's the most emotional thing they've ever seen.
No, no, they were like, how can they have this scene, but they're not eating any bread? I don't understand. I don't know why. I just in my mind, I think Germans just that they need to be eating bread all the time. I don't know why. That doesn't even make any sense.
Yeah, because they like schnitzel and beer, but I'm not so sure about bread.
No, they were
But
just busy baking bread while the oven's up. Hey, anyway, so let me stop before I go any further with that. Now, for a moment there, because Jonas and Martha had not disappeared or faded away or anything, I was thinking, oh, wait a minute. Maybe it's going to be like a much happier ending than I was expecting, and they can just continue their existence on this origin world. I mean, why not? And then, right
nope.
when I was thinking that, we get, it's it's the Thanos snap thing kind of thing. And then I just wrote, oh no, bye bye, Jonas and Martha. Bye bye, Adam and Eve. Bye bye, older Jonas. Bye bye, older Martha. Bye bye, Claudia. And I was
Yeah,
like, bye bye, photos on the wall.
yeah. And writing on the wall,
I
like
was like,
names on the wall of like all Nielsen's and like like Noah and all these characters, just like they go away.
and then, goodbye, Nielsen.
Yeah. Well, yeah. If you just think of like all the characters that only existed in that reality, Noah, Bartaz, my hero Bartaz, all these,
Probably,
all the Nielsen's,
probably
but
Leslie Nielsen.
yep.
There'll be no Naked Gun movies in.
Mhm.
All right, so basically, yeah, we actually get to see everybody kind of fade out of existence, and it's kind of cool, kind of nice,
Yeah.
it's kind of oddly sweet.
It was touching, sad.
And I'm watching the clock, and I'm like going, I know this, I know that's not the way they're going to end this. And then all of a sudden we see that house. I was like, oh, it's that house. Oh, and then we get a dinner party. And now we're kind of wondering who's going to be at that dinner party. And then, so, a couple things I was wondering here. I just want to make sure I was right about what I was watching. That's all I'll need you. And since you've been great at filling in most of the gaps on this podcast,
That's how I roll, baby.
not all of them, of course. But, so, before we get to the obvious, like, ooh, look at that kind of thing, because that's the one that's clear. Now, Peter's sitting between Benny Waller and Katarina. Is Peter living his best life now? Is he out of the closet and is he with Benny Waller?
Yeah, I think so. I get the impression that like Benny's like, done the work and is like totally female, and like Peter's just hidden it.
That was my assumption that those two are
Yeah,
together.
that's just kind of
That they didn't warp things and Peter is suddenly with Katarina in this universe. So they could have
yeah,
done that. But I was getting the impression it would make more sense to be the other way around. It just
yeah.
would make okay. That's what I thought. We see that Regina, she's totally in the pink of health because apparently no cancer, I guess, or no mention of it. But the big thing is Hannah. That whore. No, now she's with Waller. I love that because Waller, a character that we've kind of had a little fun with. He's kind of like right after Alexander, the one we got. I love that he gets to be one of the key people left at the remaining little dinner party here with Hannah, and then we get this little moment where Hannah starts talking about a dream she had. And I get this triggered when she looks across the room and she sees, that yellow jacket, which is probably one of the most iconic things about the series is that goddamn yellow jacket.
Yeah, the yellow jacket plus the flickering lights from the power failure, or the intermittent, brownout,
Right.
whatever the heck it would be, nuclear something.
So she tells the story of her dream. and she just talks about how it's so. And she, of course, I love the fact she uses the phrase, I think more than once, about how it was so dark, and the whole thing. And I realized the way she's describing the dream is like, yeah, she's kind of describing the series. Kind of what she's doing right now. And then my next was like, hey kids, you know what? Never bring Hannah to a party because she's either going to be a real downer or she's going to go bang your husband when you're not looking. One or the other. So don't bring Hannah to a party. I also thought it was kind of funny that, the way when they do their final toast, the one thing that I guess all the universes have in common, is it just me or is it that everyone who lives in Wyndon doesn't like Wyndon?
Yeah, that seems to be the theme. Yeah.
All these people remain in a town that they hate. It's very strange. I'm not even going to say it's a German thing because I've seen things like that in like small towns in the U.S. It's like it's always a thing. It's like just leave.
Yeah. Yeah, I wonder if it's just like part of like the unreality of the thing. Because like in season 2, Inspector Clausen is like really confused as to like why nobody ever leaves Wyndon, and maybe it just
Hmm.
kind of like just strikes out as just like he's one of the characters that like can kind of like detect that it just doesn't quite add up, that he isn't important enough to like do much about it, other than like blow the fuck out of everything.
Where did you? Sorry, not to see him show up on the Origin.
Yeah.
I wasn't. So, and then yes, and then at the end when we were focusing on the fact that Hannah is pregnant, and what she might name her child, and of course she says she always thought Jonas was a good name. I knew that was how they were going to end it. But once we saw that she was pregnant, I'm like, oh yeah, we're going to hear her. She's going to name the kid Jonas. I know it.
Yeah.
It's got to be. It's got to be it.
Yeah. So, I wonder, like, do you have any idea, like, why she's, like, having this kind of, like, deja vu type vibes? Do you think maybe, like, you have any idea about it?
Um, I the way I looked at it is this. I think whenever you have stories of this nature, or things that either be time travel, whatever, I think everything leaves some sort of weird trace, a remembrance of it, and it the fact of it being Hannah being the one, I feel it makes it Hannah is because she's the most direct bloodline connection to Jonas. I mean, she's
Yeah.
about to give birth to. So if there was going to be one character who's going to experience that, I probably if you ask me who's most
Yeah.
likely, it's like it would have she's probably. I mean, one could say, oh, well, it could be Claudia, it could be this one. I said, yeah, but the Jonas connection makes me think it would be her. And
Yeah.
she certainly bounced around time in the other universes anyway.
Yeah. Maybe the
But
fact that she's pregnant is a factor too. I mean, she could have like, Jonas particles like going around in there, and like,
yes,
she's kind of picking up some of that from that.
it could. I mean, not to get more metaphysical about it, but there's the whole thing that he's being reborn with her, like his soul
Yeah.
reincarnation. That whole all those kind of theories, and that's how Jonas comes to be there.
Yeah.
Um,
Now we
uh,
just now we just need Wooler to knock Katarina up, and maybe we can have some like Martha particles floating around in there.
yeah, and that way those two can get together and be related again too. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I was thinking about how like um Jonas had the issue with like Martha being his aunt like way back in the day, but like Bartos was also dating her, and like Martha is his like great granddaughter. It's like she's Bartos's great granddaughter, and he was dating her too. So good time.
Okay.
Or
She
great
was
great
after
granddaughter. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Okay, I was waiting. I was wondering. Remember, I was wondering if there was like a more direct connection of that nature, as far as son, mother, son, father, mother, daughter, and whatever generation removed. That
Yeah.
would
Well,
be more bothersome to me.
but
I hadn't thought of that.
fortunately we didn't quite get there. Plus, it's not like Bartos got Martha knocked up or anything. So
Yeah, I don't think he actually
yeah.
slept or anything. So
No.
not that kid, not that.
No.
All
The
right,
hero,
and
the hero of the story, Bartos, didn't do that. He always waits until marriage.
the hero. you like your 2 episodes that really kind of redeem the little fucker, and then it's like, oh, he's the hero of the story.
Yeah, well, he ended up being the
What?
sire of all the Nielsen's plus Noah. So
He was. Well, he definitely was one of the heroes. I'll give him. I'll
yeah,
give him that. He definitely makes up for being a little piece of crap earlier on in the series.
yeah,
Oh, that was it. So okay, to, just a couple odds and ends before we wrap things up.
yeah. I got a
Did
thing to
did
say.
did you like it? How'd you feel about all
I
this?
did. I was pretty satisfied with it, and it's given me plenty to think about today and the like. I'm kind of it's just I mean the two worlds were created when like Tannhaus's plan to like save his son, daughter-in-law, and granddaughter like failed miserably, I guess. And that's what happened. But did it actually fail miserably? Because it kind of seems like he created two worlds, and then like those were each of those worlds created somebody that like was that was willing to like make the ultimate sacrifice to like set stuff right and also save Thanos' family. So and just like him, uh, um, his Merrick, I guess, referring to them as angels kind of made me just think of like try to look at it from like a different point of view. But in a way, it did kind of it definitely worked out. It just worked out in like a really like complicated like all sorts of weird stuff happening sort of way. But it,
Yeah, I'm not sure. Yes, ultimately, yes. I don't know if I want to give Thanos credit for
well, yeah, it definitely.
for his plan ultimately
I can't
working
I can't imagine
because
plan doing
you
that.
know,
But
especially especially since you're into creating these other realities that an infinite number of times there was basically cycles of misery going on throughout these things. I also think it's a little funny that this is all that's taking place in this small little town in Germany. Part of me thinks it's an entire planet. So that's the one thing you could do crazy sequels to this show because this. What about the rest of the world?
yeah,
I don't know what was going on in France, in the U.S., in a small town in Japan, wherever. I'm just curious. So when they do sequels to this in other countries, kind of like they do all the foreign versions of The Office, they do like foreign versions of Dark. They just like have it take place at the same time, just put it in a different place. And I'm rambling now.
were you
I
satisfied with it?
I yes. There wasn't anything about the finale other than the few things I mocked
Yeah,
earlier on, which I wasn't being super serious about.
yeah. It was just like
Um,
nothing. None of it was enough to like really detract from it. Like where you'd be like, oh, I guess this is gonna be a B, or like, oh, they had
no,
that.
it's I'm okay.
They,
I'm a little iffy on. I'd have to think long and hard. There are some people. I don't know. I don't recall if you're one of them, but I know some people when they've been talking about the series online on the social media and whatever, they have referred to it as like the best series, the best original Netflix series there is right now, or there has been. I'm not so sure I agree with that. I just have to think about it, and
yeah,
I haven't taken the time to think about it before this podcast. For example, do I actually like these 20, you said 26, right? Do I like these 26 episodes of Dark better than, say, the 20? I think they did 10 episode seasons, can't remember. 20 episodes of Mindhunter, for example. I
yeah,
don't know. I mean, I know it's apples and oranges, but someone's saying it's the best series. I was like, I don't know, because there's been a few really good ones. I mean, there's ones that aren't dramas. But I mean, you haven't watched it, but I love BoJack Horseman. I think it's amazing. Do I think Dark is better than BoJack Horseman? I don't know. It's a weird comparison, but critics
yeah.
do put everything on the same level. I would say it's definitely one of the best.
Yeah,
It
it's
definitely kept me.
the best
Look at how
sci-fi
much
one, maybe. Even though Travelers is pretty close, I'd say. Not that I.
Travelers is really good. That actually opens up another conversation, which I
Yeah.
think is a more relevant conversation than this one. So it's my fault. I'll switch tracks. Um, and I think it was actually I saw someone else might have been Axel Foley. I might remember. Refer to this as being like the best or the second best time travel thing. Period. After like Primer, I guess.
Oh
So I was
yeah,
thinking
but
about
that's
that.
Axel because he really likes Primer. I remember him
Right.
looking at it.
It's been a while, but I do remember Primer, and if I, someone would go, oh yeah, I remember Primer. So I was thinking, I'd probably more likely want to give that some thought. I don't like comparing TV series to movies, though.
Yeah.
I just think you're dealing with a different kind of a beast, and I don't
Right.
care if it's a movie franchise where there's three Back to the Future movies, or there's however number of Terminator. I don't care. It's a different thing because we're talking about a contained story within an hour and a half to 2 hours, whatever, compared to a series which may be 6, 8, 10, 26, whatever number of 90 episodes. I don't think it's a fair comparison.
Yeah. Yeah.
It
Plus,
is
the
fair.
best time travel movie ever hasn't been written yet because I developed it in my mind, and I need you to write the script. But it's a Terminator movie. I'll tell you the details off the air. But it's the coolest time travel movie ever. Trust me.
Did I ever tell you? Oh, maybe I shouldn't. Oh, all right, I just started to say it. So, actually, one of my script ideas, I think I might have, I don't know where I put it. It's one of those I actually wrote a few pages of it that I never got back to because I got busy with another project. What did I call it? I think it was called like 100 Years. And the point of it was, it begins with kind of like a space mission, like rocket taking off kind of a thing. I don't remember what I established where they were going. I don't know if it was a moon mission or a Mars mission or space. I don't remember. I really need to find the pages of it. But an accident happens, and somehow the guy is split, and he wakes up, and we first see him. He's 100 years in the past, but then we keep seeing he keeps shifting, and suddenly he's 100 years in the future. And the storyline was going to be we keep toggling back and forth, where he keeps flipping back and forth between being 100 years in the past and 100 years in the future. And meanwhile, he's trying to find a way to get back, to his own time. That was my kind of like my pitch, my idea. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, my idea is a movie called Terminator Prohibition, and it just takes place. It takes place in the 20s, and then you got like Sean O'Connor, and you got like mob stuff, and you've got like Tommy guns and biplanes, and like just imagine how cool that movie would look if like somebody that's a good cinematographer shot it and it was lit correctly. Just like how awesome a fucking Terminator fucker would be like with the mob in the 20s and fucking flappers and shit.
Did you say Sean O'Connor or John?
Yeah, Sean O'Connor. He's like an Irish immigrant that like works like for one of like the lesser Chicago gangs.
Okay, I thought maybe you were doing a takeoff on Sean Connery's name for a second.
Yeah, yeah, and Terminator Prohibition is like it's like just a cool name too.
It is a cool name.
Yeah, so we need to write that. If you're listening to this podcast, don't make that movie. Fuck you. Give us a 5-star review though.
So anyway, the thing I was just going to say is so I was thinking about it compared to other time travel based TV series and where I would put it. And it's an interesting thing because, there's a lot of shows that have some time travel. You just mentioned Travelers. Travelers is excellent.
Eric, yep.
Quantum Leap, we talk about all the time. I think we both are huge Quantum Leap fans.
Oh yeah,
and it's I mean, there's a few I probably haven't seen. I know I haven't, or I don't remember. Wasn't Voyager a time travel? I don't remember.
No, Voyager was just like no. I mean, there was time travel episodes, but it was just like stuck in a different part of the universe.
Right. Obviously, I'm not someone who's watched it, but I'm very aware that Doctor Who is obviously a time travel series, which it's only been around for like 1,000,000 years or something. So it's I was kind of curious to think of Dark and where its place in like time travel TV show history, and if it deserves, how high the ranking would be. Life on Mars is another series that involves a form of time travel as a basis of the series, where a character has been knocked back to the 1970s, and you're also spending the series wondering if this is actually happening, or if it's all in his mind, or if he's in a coma or whatever. If you guys ever see that show, watch the British version. Do not bother with the U.S. version. Don't. Some of it's not too bad, but it's not worth it. It's the worst finale ever. Don't watch it. It's just it is literally like my least favorite finale of almost any show outside of the ones we usually make fun of. But anyway, my point was going to be, I do think. I mean, I don't have a formal list in my mind. I didn't write anything down, but I would say this is pretty high up there. I don't know if I would go and just say automatically say it's the best one, but it's got to be top five, maybe top three. I'm thinking.
Yeah, it's really solid. I mean, they really, it's a well thought out show, extremely intricate, cool, shot really well. I mean, same director for every episode, same writers. Just,
Right.
it's pretty cool. It's good.
Yeah, I marvel at the complexity of it. It's one of those shows like I try to recommend to people, but I always feel I have to warn them ahead of time. Like, okay, but you really, really have to pay attention. I mean, you really have to. You can't. This is not on the. Especially if you're going to do like even if I didn't do it all the time, like tell other people to do it. If you're going to watch it in German and just have the English subtitles, then you really, really, really have to pay attention. This is not a background show. You can't have this on in the background while you're doing something else. You've got to focus, and it might wear you out a little bit, especially the last few episodes of this season.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I definitely enjoyed the series overall. I was very more than pleased with the way it turned out. I'll tell you something. I did a much. I can't believe I'm saying this. A much happier ending than I expected for this show.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think a few characters smiled a little bit.
Oh
First,
my god! All that smiling, I was weirded out by it.
yeah. Oh, yeah. I like Merrick's like wife smiled a few times. Tannhaus smiled a little bit. People smiled at that party at the end.
Everybody was smiling at that scene in the end. Even before she started telling that stupid story, Hannah was. Waller was smiling. Look, he smiled, and he had two eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say I was very pleased with it. I'm glad, although although it was probably more work than I would have appreciated. I am glad we chose at your behest that we chose to do it an episode by episode thing. I don't. I think it'll just depend on as far as future series are concerned.
Yeah.
Some I think, but I think I wrote this online today or yesterday, whatever. Based on the complexity of this season, trying to do this all in one podcast
Yeah.
really would have been. I mean, I'm actually shocked that we were able to pull off Dark season 2 in one podcast. I don't even know how
Right.
good that was. I haven't listened to it,
Yeah.
but the second half of the season really would have made it impossible to make a cohesive single podcast about the season.
Yeah, just it would have just been too hard. I think I would have done the show a disservice too. I mean, just there was plenty to talk about. I mean, we podcasted for 8 hours on it, and I'd say there were other than some baseball talk and food talk and Star Trek talk and a variety of incest jokes. Yeah,
Wow.
I think, but it was it was a lot of work to do it, and it was difficult to have to like watch an episode and just be like. We have to wait to podcast before we can watch the next episode. But but we're busy.
Well,
Our lives are busy, so I guess it was okay right now.
we were able to make the time for it. It's kind of it's the other joke of it all is that our podcasting had become a bit infrequent compared to the way it used to be. Like our podcasting output, and I think we might have talked about this on the recording. I know we talked about it outside of it. We used to like really pump them out for a while there. We were doing like 50, 60, 70 a year, whatever.
Yeah.
And we've really slowed down over the last year or two because, we're busy. You didn't watch as many things.
Yeah.
There's a lot of reasons.
Yeah.
So then to all of a sudden switch gears and, what's today's, we're recording this on July 8th.
Correct. Yep.
July 8th. So probably in the last 2 weeks or less, that means between this and the Perry Mason one that I'm doing with Brian, all of a sudden in 2 weeks I've done like 11 podcasts.
Yeah.
But I guarantee the previous 11 probably go back to like the middle of last year or something like that.
Yeah.
It's Better Call Saul and I don't know, a couple other things. But yeah, I really enjoyed doing it. I'm glad we were able to do it. I'm glad. It sounds like we have gotten some positive feedback, which is nice, from at least 3 or 4 different listeners have actually said they've been enjoying it, which is
Yeah,
great.
people are enjoying it, and I think it'll be worthwhile for people. I think it'll be worth people's time. Even that creep David Gott likes it. That's saying something, even though his taste in music is poor.
Well, I could take the two of you and your musical taste and throw you both off a bridge for all I care. You two and CJ have music taste up the ass. But
I don't think CJ even listens to music. He just kind of like listens.
No,
he listens to like dogs having sex audio.
God.
Trust me, he's all about that grunting and grinding.
Oh my God.
Oh,
This is
porn parodies. There's a Scooby-Doo porn parody that CJ's blasting all over right there.
This is how the podcast ends, not with a bang, but a whimper. Or maybe a bang and a whimper, actually. You did that.
Yes.
So, okay. So, hopefully, despite my rambly, getting lost on my notes nature, hopefully you guys are able to enjoy this podcast. If you enjoy this podcast, you probably enjoy hanging out on our podcast page as well. It's a Serious TV Drama podcast page. Like the page, you can join the conversation about shows like Dark, like, I don't know, Better Call Saul, like pretty much anything that's on TV or in the cinema or whatever the heck you want to talk about.
As long as it's good. If it's crap, we're not going to bother wasting time with it. So I'm sorry if you like crap, but get out of here.
Well, they can talk about crap and we can make fun of them. It's fine.
We can.
Yeah, that's fine. Wow. Now I'm trying to remember. You can also go directly to our site or provider or whatever. There's a better word for it, and I'm drawing a blank on
it's our host, our podcast host.
Thank you. It's our host. That's it, our host.
Yep.
You can go to, let's see, it's stvdpodcast.podbean.com, and you can find all 260. We're going to make this one 262, right? So,
yes.
When you hear this podcast, after you listen to this podcast, you can go and find all 262 of our podcasts. And the last 4 or 5 actually have decent audio. So there you go.
In a few weeks, we'll try to get together and knock out season 3 of Ozark, as we promised to do like 12 podcasts ago, and then didn't do it halfway through that podcast. So,
do we still want to? I mean, I don't know. I'll do it. You still
I think
Ozark?
Yeah, we'll just have to look at some synopsis to remind ourselves of a few things. But I think it's worth talking about it. It's definitely one of the better shows, and it was a pretty good season of it, I'd say. So I'd like to see what you think about it and talk about performances and stuff.
I'm not okay, but I'm just gonna say it right now. We're doing the entire season in one pot. I am not doing an episode by episode thing for Ozark.
Yeah, we'd have to rewatch it to do that.
And I'm not doing that.
Yeah, that's not necessary to do.
I will watch a little bit of it again just to refresh my mind on it. I might do that bookend thing where I'll watch the first episode and the last episode, or I'll watch the first 5 minutes of the first episode and the last 5 minutes of the last episode. Like, oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Wait, was this the season where they? Oh yeah, ooh, that is a good ending. Ooh,
it is.
I just remember. Now the season's kind of flooding back to me. I feel like there's a few other things I say at the end here to wrap it up, and then I was going to mention a couple things podcast wise. So basically, it's okay. Facebook page. iTunes. You can find us on iTunes as Serious TV Drama Podcast. Subscribe to our feed, and you can rate and review us there. And you can also follow us on Twitter. Our handle is at STVD Podcast. It's STVD as in Serious TV Drama Podcast. As far as future podcasting plans, Brian and I will continue with the Perry Mason podcast. Dan may actually join us at some point once he's caught up with the series, whether it be for a one-time special guest appearance or as a consistent thing. That's up to him, or up to me. No, it's not up to me. It's up to everybody. So we are going to do that. Dan just promised we're going to do Ozark season 3, so I guess we're going to do that. That's fine by me.
Yep, and our favorite TV shows of the 80s and Traveler season 2 also will be coming soon. I guarantee it.
I still have the entire print it out. That's how long ago. When I would actually, wherever it was I was working, I can't remember when, I would actually type up notes and then print them out at work because I don't have a working printer here, and bring them home to use. I haven't done that in 5 years. I
Huh.
still have them.
Yeah, I think I still have my notes in a notebook somewhere too.
Oh my god. I feel like there's a couple other possibilities of things that we could that one or both of us might podcast about this summer. Um, the one I'm most tempted to, other than the things that we've already mentioned, and I don't, but the only issue is going to be if who's going to podcast it with me or not, because I don't think you saw I don't think you've watched the show, so you might not be able to. Well, the Umbrella Academy season 2 comes out at the very end of July.
Oh yeah,
I was a
I don't
big,
know
I
anything
was a
about that.
big. I really liked the first season a lot. Really looking in the second season. Speaking of time travel, because it looks like they're time traveling all over the place in that one. I think they're in the '60s for this season or something. Um, that is going to be a very tempting one. I'm not going to guarantee it because I don't want to, guarantee myself a whole lot of work to do in a couple weeks. But that should,
Is the Umbrella Academy? Is that a show about how all the extras in Alfred Hitchcock's foreign correspondent learned how to hold their umbrellas in the exact correct way in that one scene?
yes, that's exactly what it's about.
Sweet, I'm all over that. Joel McRae, I like him. He's cool.
There you go. Yes, Joe McCrae. Sullivan's Travels himself.
Oh, I just watched it a couple
Uh,
weeks ago. It's a good movie to watch in this era of our reality. So if anybody hasn't seen Sullivan's Travels, I recommend it. It holds up and it feels familiar in a oh fuck, we don't get any better about anything ever sort of way.
you know what movie I'm watching right now? I'm like halfway through it as I watch it while I was working today. I'm watching a movie called Angel on My Shoulder. It's Paul Muni and Claude Rains.
Yes, I've heard of that, but I haven't seen it. Is it good?
Uh,
Blood
Paul,
Rains is always good.
Claude, even I mean I've watched some really kind of slightly schlocky film noir things, but because they had Claude Rains, I was like, oh, that's so awesome. But this one, it's not noir at all. Trust me. Paul Muni, as he seems to do every time, it starts off. He's a gangster, because of course he's a gangster. He's a, but he gets out of prison and pretty much gets killed shortly thereafter. Goes to hell, and the devil sends him back. Although he doesn't seem to realize he's the devil. I'm like halfway through the movie, and he still doesn't realize that Claude Rains is the devil, because I think he'd be treating him with it slightly differently. Um, because the conceit of the film is like everybody has their own doppelganger or something, and apparently there's this really good judge who's running for governor somewhere who looks just like him, so he puts him in his body. So it's kind of like it's kind of like to me it's kind of like the anti Here Comes Mr. Jordan. You've seen Here Comes Mr. Jordan, right?
Yep, I bought the Criterion Blu-ray
I
of
see.
the.
I love it's genuinely it's actually the opposite of that movie
Huh.
because
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
Claude Rains is the devil and angel on my shoulder, and he's sort of kind of God.
Yeah.
And Here Comes Mr. Jordan. In this one he takes a bad, they take a bad guy and put him in a good person's body, and in Here Comes Mr. Jordan they take a good guy and put him in a bad. Oh my God! They
Yeah.
really are.
When I watched that, I teared up at the end when he's playing the saxophone or whatever. I actually teared up. I'm like, holy crap! I got affected by this. Of
Oh, I
course.
love Here. I mean, Here Comes Mr.
Yeah.
Jordan is one of my favorite. This is one of my favorite movies. And it's also the reason I always recommend it to people who are willing to watch really old movies, because you always have people who don't want to watch a movie from like the 30s or the 40s or whatever. I said it's also got like all the great character actors of that era are all in that one movie. I mean James Gleason, Edward Everett Horton, Claude Rains, of course, but he's a little bit higher up on the scale than those guys. You know what I'm talking about? They're just like great go-to guys who were always in like really great movies back then.
Yeah.
I I used to watch like Here Comes Mr. Jordan and Arsenic and Old Lace back to back because they share so many of the same actors, and it's kind of a fun thing.
Yeah,
To do.
I've got Arsenic and Old Lace saved on my DVR for like a couple of years just because they're like that. Nobody's released a Blu-ray of it yet, so it's one of the ones that I'm just holding on to until somebody does a good release.
Oh, it's so good. That's a great one. I
Yeah.
was just talking about Gunga Din the other night for some reason. I have no idea why.
Huh.
I was saying like, no, whenever we get into Cary Grant conversations, we talk about the Hitchcock movies, and it's like, No one ever mentions Gunga Din. Gunga Din's is a really great movie. There's no
Yeah,
Raiders of the Lost Ark if there's no Gunga Din. It's a great,
yeah.
great movie.
I haven't seen that yet either. You know, I've been watching a lot of stuff, but I haven't got around to that yet. But of course, it's came up when I'm reading like the essays and like the Criterion movies or the like. I think Gunga Din had some kind of like it. I don't know, like Kurosawa really liked it when he was growing up or something like that. So that it had some whatever, but effect on a lot of stuff that I like.
Okay, well, I'm going to cut our conversation short because
Before we talk
for a
about
couple
movies
reasons.
for an hour.
We're yapping about movies for the last 10, 15 minutes, and also your audio is starting to go on us a little bit. So I think it's.
Oh, I forgot. Yeah, I forgot to put on Wi-Fi tonight, so that's probably that.
Oh, great! Because you didn't want to make your audio sound good for the podcast or anything.
Yeah, it'll stop. It'll stop. So I've been good.
All right. Let's stop because all the new listeners that we acquired are probably all like, I'm never listening to this crap again. All right, so Dan, again, thanks for being you and convincing me to do the episode by episode podcast thing here. I think it worked out pretty well.
Thank you for indulging my odd request. I think it worked out well, and I had a good time hanging out with you, and talking to you on a more regular basis.
Yeah, it's really that's actually the weirdest aspect of all of this. It's like I haven't had this much Dan time in I don't know how long.
Yes.
I know, that sounded a little weirder than I meant it to. Good Lord.
Yeah, maybe I'll try to catch up on Legends tomorrow or something. We can podcast one of those for old time's sake or whatever. I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
Legends of all shows.
It was a fun show to talk about, and I enjoyed watching it of those shows.
Oh, if you only had HBO Max, this Doom Patrol thing, I'm telling you, oh my God, it's so good.
I do. I have access to it. It's like it comes with my AT&T unlimited plan or something.
If you ever, when you finish with all your vacationing, you've got to check out this show. It's so good. Really
okay.
Good.
Yeah.
All right. I gotta stop. We passed an hour and a half. God damn it. All right. So thanks, Dan. Thanks to all you guys out there. Have a good night. Talk to you guys all soon.
Auf Wiedersehen.
I can't believe you didn't sing that song with the flower. Edelweiss. All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night.